And next is Senator Stephanie Bice, District 22, elected in 2014, or has been serving since 2014, and she wants to go to Washington, but we'll bring that up later. That's another subject. Your grade assessment based on productivity and success in this past session, and what, if any, interim studies are you passionate about? By the way, Representative Bice is chair of the Finance Committee.
I just got downgraded to House member, didn't I?
Oh,
Did I
you should
not
have said
say
the DC
senator?
comment.
I'm just kidding.
We're even
Yes.
for the DC comment.
See, well, jovial. First, Billy, I actually want to maybe take a quick pause and back up to a comment that you made earlier about the women on the stage. When I was elected to the Senate in 2014, there were 6 women serving out of 48, and there were 13 women in the House out of 101. We were 49th in the nation for the number of female legislators. We're 49th in a lot of other things. Is there a correlation? I don't know. But what's exciting is to look up at this stage right now, and 70% of the seats are filled by females. So that's kind of an exciting thing to see. The session was incredible, and I would echo the pro tem and the floor leader that it was an A+ session. I want to tell you a quick story, though, that I think resonates and also explains the optimism in the building over the last 8 months. I was in my office about a week before session started, and I was meeting with the Appropriations Chair, Roger Thompson, and I get a knock on the door, and my assistant walks in, and she says, "You have a visitor." And I said, "I'm in a meeting with the Appropriations Chair." And she looks at me and she says, "You have a visitor." And the governor walks in. And in the 4 years I had served previous, I'd never had a visit from the governor to my office. And the only thing that I could think of to say was, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I just wanted to see what everyone's doing and working on." And so I was really, I think, impressed and excited that he does make an effort to come and visit with members to see what we're doing, what's going on, and to lend his support. The session was an amazing one for a lot of reasons. There's a renewed sense of optimism. We're not arguing over what agencies we have to cut because we didn't have funding to be able to give agencies. And I also want to give credit to the President Pro Tem. One of the things that we've struggled with over the last several years is communication as a Senate body. And Pro Tem Treat decided to make that a focus of his last session, and I think it was incredibly successful. We've been able to communicate with our constituents through social media, through email, and it's really been, I think, a benefit to them. So kudos to him for putting that as a priority in the Senate. Interim studies. I have not filed any interim studies this session. You mentioned that I have a little side project going on running for Congress, and so I didn't necessarily think that I needed to do any of them anyway because I've oftentimes just worked with groups behind the scenes. That said, I do have, as the Senate Finance Chair, which I was given that leadership role by the Pro Tem, I will be overseeing any of the interim studies that have been assigned to the Senate Committee, which I believe there are about 8. And we'll be working on looking through those to determine which ones will be heard and what we think the outcomes of those could be in the future. This is, I think, an exciting time for the legislature. We've never, at least in the 4 years prior, we've never seen the optimism and enthusiasm. It was a tough 4 years. And so I look forward to continuing to support the initiatives of the governor and my colleagues to move the state to a top 10 state as governor says. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.